Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is reportedly considering resigning. Sources told Canada's CTV News that Trudeau is considering his options after Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland announced she will quit Cabinet. Freeland shared her decision on social media as the Prime Minister's Liberal government trails the opposition in the polls. Dominic LeBlanc, a long-time friend of the Prime Minister, has been sworn in as Finance Minister as Trudeau attempts to restore stability. Canada's Conservative Party and Bloc Québécois have demanded a fresh election as the crisis unfolds. Joining me from Ottawa for more on this is political analyst and senior advisor with the Institute of Governance, Lori Turnbull. Thank you for your time. Look, this is something that's come as a bit of a shock to us. Was this brewing? Was there more going on that sort of triggered talk of whether Justin Trudeau might quit now?
Well, the news of the finance minister's resignation was a total shock. That was a total shock this morning. And this afternoon, she was supposed to give an economic update, which is not a budget, but it's kind of like a mini budget. And so she was supposed to do that this afternoon. Quits this morning out of nowhere. Everybody was completely shocked. But honestly, news of Trudeau's lack of popularity, questions about whether he's going to stay on as leader or whether he should step aside, those have been going on for a while. There have been pushes from within caucus to try to get him to resign. Every time he loses a by-election, he holds on. And so this feels like a bit of a culmination of all of that, where there are moments where he could have checked himself. There are moments where he could have done something different, but he didn't. And now here we are.
Was there as well a bit of a catalyst in terms of Donald Trump? Because there's commentary that Justin Trudeau should have seen this coming. There's a threat of tariffs on Canada. So, you know, Mexico and China, people understand why they might be placed on, but on Canada, on a friendly country, has that also really exacerbated this talk?
Yes, that has been a complicating factor for sure. I think once Donald Trump won the election in November, and then there was a sense of a clock ticking on what that would mean for Canada when he actually takes office. So obviously he's not president yet, but he has announced some of the things that he plans to do, including 25% tariffs on anything coming into the U.S. from Canada starting January 20th or 21st. This would be devastating to the Canadian economy. And as you say, Canada and the U.S. are friends, and so quite a shock. But from Donald Trump's perspective, he is very, he believes that there is a trade deficit between Canada and the U.S. and that the U.S. is essentially subsidizing Canada. And in his mind, he wants to right this relationship. He wants to right this imbalance, and this is how he proposes to do it. I think he's made some demands around Canada taking measures at the borders to make sure that there are not illegal migrants crossing into the U.S., that there are not illegal drugs, specifically fentanyl, getting into the U.S. Those are what he has articulated as his concerns. And we do have a border plan that the government was going to announce today, but that kind of seems to have gotten lost in the shuffle. It's in there somewhere. But I think even if those things go through, I think Freeland's concern is what happens when the tariffs come, if they come, and we don't have the economic strength to be able to deal with it because of expenditures that have happened that the Prime Minister wants that are taking us away from that kind of financial security. And so over those issues, it seems that the two could not see eye to eye anymore.
And she's been the deputy, so is this the potential play? You go nuclear and hope that in the end he has to resign and they go to her who's made this bold move?
I don't know if she has, I don't know if this is coming from leadership aspirations of her own, because for us, like, it's not quite the same. We don't have the same rules around caucus being able to remove a leader and then choose another. If he steps aside, who knows who would take his place, right? And so I'm not sure she did this because she wants to take it. I think it's because she wanted to step aside. She wanted not to be part of this economic piece that was good, that she feels is not the right direction. And also, apparently, he had this conversation with her on Friday, where he suggested, you know, I don't want you to be finance minister anymore, but here, take this other job. And she doesn't want a demotion, you know, and so that was poorly handled all the way around. And so Monday morning, she pressed the nuclear button, and that's been the talk of the town for the whole day.
And if you look at this there's a lot of factors here where, even though it's certainly taken us by surprise, but we're a fair way from Canada. I wouldn't pretend we're watching every day how the Trudeau government is faring. He's been in power 9 years. He came to the job quite a young man, particularly in politics, and people wondered if he'd last. Well, 9 years is quite a long time. Incumbency as well has been terrible for governments over the past year or two, with inflation up right around the world. The Canadian election is due in October next year. So if you're going to have any chance of regenerating, if you're the government at that point, well, you've got to do it sooner rather than later. So there are actually a lot of factors, I guess, for why he would go, if indeed he does.
Absolutely. I think that has been a big part of the watch, right? Like, to see whether he actually steps aside. Because if somebody else is going to take over, they need some time. This party has been totally remade in Justin Trudeau's image. When he became the leader in 2013, the party was at the lowest point that it had ever been. It was at 34 seats in the House of Commons, which is, more awful than any Liberal thought was possible at the time. And then he came in 2 years later, won a majority government with 184 seats. And so this was no wonder he has a savior complex, because this is a pretty unusual situation. But since then, his, like it will for anybody, right? His brand has tarnished a bit. People can only have so much political capital, and he's lost a lot of his. And so I think now for a lot of people, he's at the end of the road, but he doesn't seem to grasp that. And so he's not making a space available for somebody else to come in and take over.
There you go. All right. Great to get a wrap of things. Lori Turnbull, appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.